Pseudoscience, from the roots of the word, is simply false science. Put more specifically, pseudoscience can be defined as theories, ideas, or explanations for something that are represented as scientific, but that are not derived from science or the scientific method. While this definition can commonly be applied to bonkers conspiracy theories like flat Earth or anti-vaccine movements, pseudoscience pops up more often in our general culture than you might think. In popular forms of entertainment like movies, television shows, and books, pseudoscience appears constantly. To illustrate this disconnect between science and pseudoscience in media, first I will walk you through some popular examples. Next, I will discuss what effects these examples might have on the real world. Then I will examine why these examples happen before finally determining what should be done about them. So what are some examples of pseudoscience in media? There are countless examples of popular culture getting science wrong, but there are a few specific examples that I would like to highlight today. The first example starts small. Jurassic Park, released in 1993 to critical and public acclaim, but it contained many minute inaccuracies. First among them comes from the title, Jurassic Park, in sharp contrast to the dinosaurs that actually appeared in the film, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex, mostly being from the Cretaceous period, rather than the Jurassic period like the title implies. The presentation of dinosaurs in the film is also inaccurate, as gray, scaly monsters, with even more recent Jurassic World films maintaining this design, despite newer research demonstrating that many, if not most, dinosaurs had colorful feathers. The way the dinosaurs were even created in the film is at odds with our current knowledge of how to clone animals. The park's scientists are somehow able to find dinosaur blood in a fossilized mosquito to extract DNA from, combining it with distantly related frog DNA to create just one cloned dinosaur. That's implausible, to say the least, let alone the 6 different species that appear in the first film. The second example is one of the more easily recognizable instances of pseudoscience, simply due to how unrealistic it sounds, even to the average viewer. In 2018's Ant-Man and the Wasp, as well as the 2019 follow-up Avengers Endgame, both successful and popular films, a plot device known as the quantum realm was used to explain travel between time and space. In these movies, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary to hear how quantum entanglement can be harnessed to create quantum tunnels, allowing entry to the quantum realm, all of course measured using a quantum spectrometer. All of this is largely fictional. Quantum mechanics is just the study of how particles behave, and it can't be used to justify superhero time travel. The movie even jokes about it, with the titular Ant-Man asking if the scientists in the movie just put the word quantum in front of everything. The last example concerns the genre of television crime procedurals. For those that don't watch them, in these shows, every week a crime is committed, and a team of law enforcement has to find the evidence to determine who did it. Frequently, the crucial piece of evidence they need to find to convict someone comes from forensic science, the techniques used to produce physical evidence relating to a crime. The part these shows get wrong, though, is that they present these forms of forensic evidence as infallible, easy to obtain, or even necessary for a conviction, when all of that is far from true in the real world. It's not easy to find accurate DNA, clear fingerprints, or even gunshot residue for a crime that happened months, weeks, or days prior. This extreme faith in forensic science is a clear example of pseudoscience in media possibly having real-world consequences. So that might leave you wondering, what does this mean for the real world? In essence, we need to find out if these examples of pseudoscience have real-world consequences. I think that even the more innocuous examples of pseudoscience can reveal greater issues in the world. People can absorb misinformation about the media they consume. In fact, in a 2015 poll conducted by YouGov, in which 75% of respondents said that they had seen a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World movie, 28% of people said that they thought that scientists could currently either probably or definitely create dinosaur clones from DNA found in dinosaur fossils. Even more concerning, in that same poll, 41% of people said that they thought that dinosaurs and humans either probably or definitely once lived on the planet at the same time as one another. If popular media continues to show such scientific falsehoods, even if they are clearly labeled as fiction, there's always going to be some amount of people who take it at face value and believe such false ideas. On the other side of the spectrum, you can have movies like The Avengers, taking real scientific concepts and presenting them in a fictional way. Big movie franchises like Marvel do employ scientific advisors like quantum physicists Spyrid on Mikalakis that incorporate real scientific concepts into their movies. But for whatever reason, they often take liberties with the facts. Dr. Mikalakis even said that Ant-Man's particular take on quantum entanglement is a stretch scientifically. There's a clear problem with the possibility that people look at fictional depictions of ideas like the quantum realm and extrapolate that to think that all quantum mechanics, physics, or even science in general is wrong. With 13% of Americans, according to Pew Research, having a lack of confidence in scientists to act in the public interest, movie makers need to be cognizant of the role that they might play in that. But the biggest danger, in my opinion, brings us back to media presenting itself as realistic. The CSI effect, as coined by researchers Schweider and Sachs, describes the phenomenon in which depictions of forensic science in crime procedurals alters the expectations of jurors in court. Now, research into the effect has proved inconclusive in determining whether it has a pro-defense bias, in which jurors are less likely to convict if there's not enough forensic evidence, a pro-prosecution bias, in which jurors are more likely to convict if there is forensic evidence, both, or no bias at all. But what remains true, though, is that people in the criminal justice system, like lawyers, act as if the effect has both a pro-defense and pro-prosecution bias, leading to a focus on unnecessary forensic evidence over other important forms of evidence, like witness testimony, according to researcher John Aldridge. We want the legal system to be unbiased, and false science in crime procedurals has the potential to affect everyone. That might leave you wondering, why does this happen? If there are such drastic real-world consequences, why is pseudoscience put into media in the first place? It is clear that most big media studios have the resources to stay as scientifically accurate as possible. Jurassic Park had a massive budget for the time of $63 million, with Jurassic World raising that to $150 million. Avengers Endgame even had a humongous budget of $356 million. Both Jurassic Park and Avengers Endgame have, at one point or another, been the highest grossing film in terms of box office success. Even crime procedurals are extremely popular. Law & Order Special Victims Unit is one of the longest-running live-action dramas on TV today. These franchises get millions of viewers, and they make a large amount of money. So it's not a question of if popular media can be scientifically accurate, but whether or not it even needs to be. As I mentioned before, these studios do employ scientific advisors that incorporate scientific concepts into their films. Jurassic Park worked with paleontologist Jack Horner. Marvel worked with quantum physicist Spyrid on Mikalakis. Even Law & Order had people like Brian Fagan that worked to fact-check the writers with legal and scientific researchers. But the important thing to remember, though, is that these researchers aren't against the depictions of science in media. They helped create them. The reason they might gloss over some incorrect facts is simply because the story trumps the realism. Pseudoscience serves the plot. If you can't do superhero time travel in the Avengers in a realistic way, then you have to make things up to do it, because superhero time travel is cool. Dr. Mikalakis may have said before that Ant-Man's particular take on quantum entanglement is a stretch scientifically, but he goes on in that interview to say that it's narratively satisfying, so he approves of it. It's hard to imagine the other examples being scientifically accurate either. Can you imagine how much less scary Jurassic Park would have been if it were instead Cretaceous Park and the dinosaurs were technicolored feathery birds? No. Cool dinosaurs should be scary. Dr. Horner even agrees that the Jurassic Park designs don't need to be changed to be feathered. Even crime procedurals might need to make things up to fit the dramatic story beats that have proven to be so successful in the television world. It wouldn't be as exciting if there weren't a crucial piece of forensic evidence they need to find to piece together the story of the crime. There are negatives to pseudoscience in media, to be sure, but there are also clear positives. So the next logical step then is to figure out a solution. What do we need to do about this issue, if anything? You may have thought, over the course of this talk, that this doesn't really matter, that people should just suspend their disbelief when consuming media. But my issue with that line of thinking is that suspension of disbelief doesn't always apply, especially when disbelief doesn't occur in the first place. You can't look at something and say, that's inaccurate, if you don't know that it is inaccurate. So a solution to the issue of pseudoscience in media is education, teaching people to recognize the inaccuracies so that they can suspend their disbelief, rather than absorb misinformation. Popular media can be used as a tool in the classroom to demonstrate what those movies got right and what they got wrong. If we can teach people that dinosaurs don't look like they do in Jurassic Park, or that dinosaurs didn't live at the same time as each other or humans, then maybe people won't have those misconceptions when they watch Jurassic Park. If we can teach people about all of the interesting ideas surrounding physics and quantum mechanics, then maybe people won't dismiss those real sciences as too hard or crazy. If we can teach people about the biases they might have as potential jurors about forensic science, then maybe we might have more fair trials. Now, don't get me wrong. We should absolutely push for accuracy in the media we consume, but there comes a point where critiquing superhero time travel just becomes nitpicking, and we should be able to knowledgeably suspend our disbelief to enjoy the media for what it is. Who knows if seeing something unrealistic might inspire someone in the future to make something interesting a reality. Thank you.